All right, love you. I can't talk. I'm gonna put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you tonight. Okay. Get ready. Have on that red lingerie for me
Chill,
when I
chill,
get
chill.
home. That Christmas lingerie, Mrs. Claus. Let's go.
Mrs.
Let's go.
All right, welcome to the Maven Experience. Got actually an amazing guest. I've been looking forward to this podcast. Me and this guy go back a couple years, 5, 6 years now. This is Sonny Drake, everybody.
What's up, people?
Sonny Drake. This man stepping outside the realm of sales and entrepreneurship a little bit, but also still kind of in it later on.
Yeah.
But Sonny, let me just rattle this off. This guy has an insane life, and we're gonna get into all the juiciness of it. Sonny Drake is a motocross
Yeah.
phenom. Okay,
Once upon a time.
once upon a time, back in the glory days.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes,
so
sir.
we're gonna talk about his wins, his losses, injuries, surgeries,
Yeah.
painkillers, drug addiction, all the things that come kind of in that realm, right?
For sure.
But really quick, just to rattle this off. So my guy's 32 years old from upstate New York.
Just
Dropped out of school at age
12.
12.
Well, I didn't drop out at 12. So I was in sixth grade, going into seventh. And at that point is when I dropped out of school to get homeschooled.
Because the motocross was running for you.
Well, yeah, what was crazy was I started at 7, right, riding dirt bikes at 7 years old. And I didn't know that I was any good. We were riding in backyards, didn't grow up with much. My dad provided, with what he could. And we begged him to take us to a race. And we went to this race. It just so happened to be New York State Championship race. And
One of 10.
yeah,
So this guy won 10 New York state championships, 7 Pennsylvania state championships, 4 New Jersey state championships, 5 Florida state championships, Can-Am championship.
yeah. So Canadian American, like the best from Canada and America showdown. Yeah,
Okay. 1 USA championship,
yeah.
21 broken bones.
22.
22.
Yeah.
22 broken bones,
22.
15 KOs,
Yes, sir.
concussions,
No,
knocked out,
like
blacked out, boom, out.
yeah.
15 times.
It's hilarious. My brother's got a picture on his Facebook of me dirt napping,
Dirt nap.
and I'm laid out and he's taking pictures of it.
He's like, hey, he's live,
Like,
Facebook Live.
what? Yeah, no.
Send a Snapchat
confirmed.
to the boys.
For real. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Scotty. But yeah, 15 confirmed KOs. Not just like, I got my bell rung, but I'm out cold for a few minutes or more.
Right.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then sponsored by Red Bull, Honda, Yamaha, Monster, Kawasaki, Fox Clothing, Alpine Star Boots, Factory Connection. Been on the cover of multiple magazines,
Yeah.
national and international. Been in a couple moto movies. So this man has seen a lot in the moto world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've been in the motocross world, supercross world as a whole.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to be around it. I won't lie. It's hard for me to be around it because when I'm around it, there's still guys that are, my age group that are out there crushing it, right? Killing it. And I know that if if I could have stuck with it and pushed through, things could have been different, right?
You feel like you still kind of live in the what if.
Oh, for sure.
What if I
And
would have?
yeah, I mean, I think 2 different paths. What if I never rode motocross? What would I have done? I know that I was really good at wrestling. My brother Scotty was a state, wrestler, almost national champion. My cousin won. He beat the dude that was a USA national champion, It's just there's nothing to do in the North Pole up in where we're at but wrestle, football, basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was life. That was our life. And I do wonder because I was really gifted and good at wrestling and basketball and football. I had two older brothers that beat the crap out of me all the time. Love you, Skylar. Love you, Scotty.
Older brother. That's what older brothers are for.
Yep, 100%, man. 100%.
Make the younger brother better.
Yep. And, I learned a lot from them. But I'll tell you what, I would whoop their ass on a dirt bike. Believe it or not, it wasn't me who got the first bike. And it wasn't me who wanted to get into racing. There's this grocery store in our hometown. It's called Price Chopper for those of you in New York. We would go in there with my dad and my mom to get some grocery shopping done. And me, Scotty, and Skylar, my youngest brother wasn't born yet, would run to the magazine aisle, and we'd pick up a magazine every week, and it was a dirt bike magazine. And Skylar would be in awe over it and ask my dad, can we get a dirt bike? Can we get a dirt bike? Me, I'm just like, give me a Pokemon card or something, And, a year later, he gets a dirt bike. Crazy story with him, at 12 years old, not more than a year after, maybe 2 years after that, he got a very rare brain tumor, almost passed away, thankfully with us.
Wow.
Married with beautiful children. And the next year, my brother Scotty got one, and a couple months later, I got one. So we all three had a dirt bike, and we were all riding together, except I was a test dummy for everything.
They're like, hey, I don't know if this ramp's going to work. Send Sonny.
Send it, bro. And the thing was, is I'd be like, okay,
let's go.
Let's do it.
You don't want to disappoint the older bros.
No, dude, full send. I was never scared. That's it's a pro and a con. Pro and a con.
Blessing and a curse.
Yeah, and my brother Skylar was decent. Scotty, sorry, bro, you sucked. Goon squad. For the moto people out there, you know what I'm talking about. He's squirrely, Squidward. But yeah. It was a short-lived career for both of them because of my brother Skylar's brain tumor. He's got half of his head was cut open, metal plate. They said that one really good hit to the head, game over. So that was the end for him. Mm-hmm. Then my brother Scotty, being the goon that he was, ruined his chance at wrestling. He was a killer wrestler. He was out racing and throttle cable stuck, not on the throttle, but on the inside. And if you're not dirt bike savvy, you're not going to know what to do. What you're supposed to do is just grab the clutch and hit the brake, and there you go, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't do that.
People freak out. He's like,
Yeah, going up the face of a monster jump, too. And he ended up free falling from like 40 foot in the sky and landed on both his heels, shattered him completely. We all have these big balls, under our feet here that arch. Mm-hmm. His foot, the back of his foot here, and the ball of his foot completely compressed, and on both sides, and both sides of his feet are completely metal. So when you see him walk around, he walks around like he's like an 80-year-old dude.
Dang.
So he's lucky to be alive. They said that, he should have broke his back. So he's lucky to be alive. What's crazy was that night was one of the first times that I'd ever won a dirt bike race, and he came out 2 races after. And I remember trying to run out to watch him, and I heard this, big crowd roaring, and it's my brother getting carted off in an ambulance. So first of many. But after that, Mom was like, done, sell the bikes, we're done. But no, I wasn't having it.
Did that ever
I'm bought in, man?
Watching your brother get hurt like that, did that ever deter you from?
No.
Didn't scare you at all or make you nervous about?
At that point, man, I had already taken some gnarly crashes. I'm like,
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even put up my own Christmas lights, bro. Like, I'm so like, I don't take risk when it
hey,
comes to like physical pain. I'm like, bro, keep my feet on the ground.
it's probably a
It's
smart
terrible.
thing,
Yeah.
The way my body feels, I'm 32, but the way my body feels today, I can still get out there and do things and do, pretty much what anyone else can do.
Mhm.
But at the same time, my knees are shot,
Yeah.
got a lot of issues. But no, man, I didn't think twice about it. For me, it was something that my brother wanted really bad, but the second that I got on it and I was smoking my older brothers
You
that
got
were
that.
on, they were on way bigger bikes, and I'm just blowing past them on like this little 50. Yeah,
No fear.
no fear. I remember this is a great story. My dad got me this super cool helmet, and for my dad it was like every penny. And it was the first day he got it for me, right? And put it on my head. And my brothers and I were out in this field riding. There's this little hump that you can catch just a tiny bit of air off of. And they dared me to do what's called a nothing. Okay, a nothing for people that aren't in the motocross world. It's where you take your hands off the handlebar and your feet, and then you catch back down. Pretty easy trick when you've been doing something like this for a minute. Okay, not when you're 6 years, or well, at the time I was like 8 years old because I started at 7. So about 8 years old, and mind you, you're not getting enough air to even take your hands off and feet off and then be able to catch it.
Yeah, yeah.
No. Mm-mm. Well, I ended up hitting the ground, and hands were still off, feet were still off, dude. Took a tumble, broke that helmet, broke the visor. First day, my dad came running out pissed. What did you do? What'd you do? And I'm, they told me to do a nothing. What's a nothing? It's where you do this. But no, man. I don't know what it was. I was just, I was different. I had a screw loose.
Yeah.
And I think I've always had that.
Just
Always
that.
had it,
Yeah, it
man.
sounds like you just had no fear of. Yeah, no fear
Yeah.
at all. Really, you're just kind of going for it. Let's go, whatever.
It's been my whole life. I don't fear death. I don't fear. I fear not living.
Mm.
As I've gotten older, it's changed a little bit, right? I've slowed down, but especially during that time, this is gonna sound crazy to a lot of people out there. I would have rather died doing what I loved at a young age than lived forever working a 9 to 5 and you just whatever, like this is what I knew I wanted. This was my purpose. It was my why. It was my passion, my love. Dirt bike was my girlfriend, bro.
Mhm.
My first girlfriend.
You're obsessed with it.
Obsessed, completely obsessed. And yeah, I mean, it took me some pretty wild places. A lot of wild places. I got to meet a lot of people I never thought that I'd get to meet and hang out with and know on a personal level. But it definitely plays a toll,
Yeah.
for sure.
Do you feel like at what age? Well, let me ask you this: at what age did you start really excelling and realizing, dude, I'm
Yeah.
actually really good at this?
Sure.
And then what changed at that point?
Yeah, sure. So I would say, I mean, I realized that I was good at 12, but I didn't think that good. The reason that I realized I was good was because at that point I hadn't really done any big races, just a couple small, very rinky-dinky local races, and I didn't really have any wins on my belt at that time. But I'd been putting in a lot of practice from like 10 to 11, and now I'm 12 years old. And we heard about this race up in Binghamton, New York, at a track called Broome Tioga. It used to be a pro national, and it's no longer part of the national circuit, but it was a New York State Championship race. We did not know that when we were going there, okay? It was about an hour and a half away. That's a lot for my pop at the time. We are driving in a station wagon. You know, like Caddyshack movies, the old school movies like that, right? Mm-hmm. We're in one of those.
Nice.
Yeah. And we have a snowmobile trailer on the back. And we pull in, and there's so many people, and we're parked by like a Prevost, right? This is $1 million rig, dude. We had never seen anything like this in our life. It was like mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. And the kid, the people that came out the rig, mom, dad, and a kid my age, and he's got like 6 brand new bikes from that year's model. I'm like, oh my God. My bike at that time, I think, was like 12 years older than the current model, dude. I was like wearing construction work boots and stuff, whatever. And a couple of these kids I'd seen in magazines and stuff, right? So I looked up to them. And at a big race like this, there's too many people to line up on the gate and go race. So how it works is you go through time qualifying, and you got to be inside at the top 42 to make it to the first moto and then the second moto. Okay. Well, we get there, and I kind of like instantly we all did. Well, we're gonna have a good time watching. I get to go. I get to practice. I get to ride 5 laps on like a pro track. It's gonna be sick. But I went out and practiced, and it blew my mind. But I qualified. I can't remember exactly what, but maybe 26 or something. And this is the crazy part to me, right? Is I hadn't really hit too many jumps yet at that point. It was riding in fields and in backyards. And every once in a blue moon, we get to go to this sand pit next to my house, and I might catch some air, right? Free riding. There was no set trail or track.
Yeah.
And this track has got gnarly jumps. This is a pro dirt bike track, right? And big ruts in the turns, etc. And I'm looking at these jumps, and I'm thinking, holy cow, I'm not going to be able to, no way, no friggin' way. I go out and hit these humps and try to do tricks and, crash for my brothers, but this is another level, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're stoked I qualified, right? So we line up on the gate for the first moto, and there's kids that were picking on me, right? Look at his boots. Those aren't even real boots, And that's a moment I'll never forget. Something primal clicked, dude. Primal rage clicked. And I thought that, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm going to kill these kids. Not kill them, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put the boots to them. Yeah, my freaking construction boots. I'm going to put it to them. One way or the other, I'm going to figure out how to hit these jumps. And again, these kids are on that year's model bike, and my bike is ancient.
They're all decked out.
Decked out, man. Decked out. They got sponsors and stuff, They're taking showers in their big rigs, watching TV, playing PS1, right?
PS1.
And we're freaking, sitting by a campfire in a station wagon. Yeah. But still having the time of our lives,
So cool.
And we got that, I remember pulling up. These kids are picking on me. My dad's telling me not to worry about it. Don't listen to him. And I said, Dad, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna kick these guys' ass. He hit me in the back of the helmet. Don't you say that word. Okay, sorry, Dad. And but I'm serious, so I'm going for it. And I remember pulling up on the gate, and if you've ever watched motocross or supercross, motocross is outdoor racing. It's a 42 rider gate. Supercross is indoor racing, and it's a about 22 rider gate because obviously it's a lot smaller. It's in the big stadiums. And this is a big, 42 rider gate, 42 people side by side. And when you pull up on the gate, you're sitting there right next to the dude, right there next to you, to the point where you can hit his elbow. And you can just, hit each other's elbow. There's a gate right in front of you, and everyone's right there.
Bunch of 12-year-olds too. They're all squirrely and hitting into each other.
Super squirrely, dude. Yep, nervous novices. But gate drops, right? And I take off, and I was in like 7th or 8th place, something like that. And I couldn't believe, oh my God. And I'm pushing. And I remember the kid that had won the state championship like the year prior was right in front of me. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna tag on the back of this dude, right? I got to learn how to hit these jumps. Otherwise, I ain't gonna come. Like I'm gonna go backwards. Meanwhile, my dad, my brothers, they're like, "We'll be happy if you get 30th." You should already be happy. No, not in my mind, dude. Not in my mind. And so I tagged on to this kid, and I'm gonna follow him. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure out how to hit this jump. So I sent it. First jump that I hit, sent it. This kid's got style, kind of throwing a whip and stuff in the air. I'm hitting it, and I'm like free floating backwards, dude. Thinking, oh my God. But I hit it, made it. And what I noticed is I was so much faster than this kid everywhere else but the jumps. I would catch him going into the corners. I'd catch him going through the gnarly ruts. Going down the straightaways. I'd hold it on a lot longer than everybody else. I made up time there. And that's where the race, in dirt bike racing, that's where the race is won. That and having good body form and being consistent and being smart and using the right line choices, thinking ahead, etc. Obviously hitting the jumps plays a part too. And so I'm like, I'm just going to follow this kid as long as I can. And, we're going to carve through the dudes that are in front of us. And if I just so happen to pass them, sweet. And we started passing through the pack, 8th to 7th to 6th to 5th to 4th. And next thing you know, it's, 2-1. Kids in front of me and I'm in second. And at this point, I'm starting to feel real confident, dude. Like in the beginning, I was thinking maybe I'm getting lucky here. No, not anymore. Now I know I got it, right? That confidence kicks in. I'm sure you felt that out on the doors, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're crushing it, that confidence kicks in. Mm-hmm. And I had about 2 laps left to go. And I wanted it so bad, I wasn't going to be settled with second place. So I just went for it, man. I went for it as hard as I could. And white flag comes out, meaning one last lap.
And you're in second place.
Second place out of 42 guys, best in New York.
42 guys that just made fun of your boots.
Just made fun of my boots. They're picking on me, making fun of my bike, What is that? What are those? And I ended up passing them. It took over. And how I did pass them was in a corner because again I was so much faster than everybody else in corners because that's all I did. Ride in a field doing figure eights, That's it. Turns out that's what pro dirt bike racers do. People think pro dirt bike racers are out just riding on a dirt bike track 24/7. No. It's about technique. It's about your form. It's about being disciplined. And the small things that people think, are easy. It's not. It's not easy. So me having not enough space to ride in, right? Not having much to go to, it played in my favor. I won that day, it blew my mind. And that was just the first moto. I had to go out and do it again the second moto. The second moto went very much the same way, except now I knew I was a man.
Yeah.
I walked up to that gate. I walked up there like I was freaking Conor McGregor, dude.
Let's go.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, checked out, won, and that day changed our lives forever, man. There was a guy that came up. He was with Monster Kawasaki, kind of a local dealer of Monster Kawasaki, and told my parents and whatnot that I had a gift, right, and that it shouldn't be wasted. College, don't bother with college. This kid's got something. Like he could be one of the greats, right? And me, I'm just over, after the race is done, I'm sitting on the ground with a toy dirt bike, building toy dirt bike tracks.
Nice, yeah.
Sweet, I won.
Just being a kid.
Yeah, just being a kid, man. And, next thing you know, a few weeks later, truck shows up to the house. I got a couple brand new modeled bikes that year with my name all over it, Monster all over it. Gear, head to toe, pallets of Monster energy drinks and stuff, dude.
Dang.
And
Sponsors started coming out.
oh, dude, it was nuts. It was so surreal. And
Got a new pair of boots.
yeah, got the boots, brother. Got the boots. Let's go. Cha-ching. But the boots, man, they were weird to get used to because moto boots, if you've not worn them before, especially if you're going from basically shoes to moto boots, are super stiff. So it takes a couple months to get them, broke in.
Right.
But yeah, no, life just seemingly changed overnight. And I remember getting, after, bikes came in and whatnot, and I started riding a real bike. Because what I was riding, it was a bike, but it wasn't a bike. And this thing had suspension done on it, professionally. This thing had an engine that was modded out, everything that you can think of, every part to the bike. There wasn't a single part on my dirt bike that wasn't modified, that wasn't some stock OEM part. And you hop on one of those, night and day difference, dog. And this was before, for people that are into moto, before 4-strokes ever came out. All right, so it was nothing but 2-strokes back then. They sound a lot cooler, way more fun to ride. But
so that moment moving on was your awakening. Like, dude, I'm freaking good at this. I found something I love.
Yep.
And you mentioned to me that you even started homeschooling at a certain point,
so
right?
This is where things it gets serious. Now it's like, family, sit down, right? Are we gonna do this? Is this gonna be a job, right? Are we gonna chase this down? And my mom was definitely apprehensive, dad a little bit, but we ended up winning that discussion. And next thing you know, we have an RV now, a rig and a trailer, which was really nice. Going from the station wagon and we got sent out to Millsap's training facility in Cairo, Georgia, which at the time, Davey Millsaps was the #1 amateur dirt bike racing star of all time, and had just turned pro and was, a beast, absolute beast. This guy's my idol. And above him would be like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, these kind of guys. Big, huge names in the industry. So we go, I get homeschooled, right, and drop out of school.
Did you guys have to pay to go to these races, or was it invite, or how does that work?
So, no, yeah, you pay to go to it. But once you start getting picked up, sponsored big time, no, at that point they're paying, you're
Sponsors
getting
are
paid.
covering it, yeah.
That and you're getting paid too. even at a young age, I was making money, dude. I was making some good money. 14, 15 years old, I was making a couple grand a weekend, winning, on a Kawasaki Monster Energy card. It's pretty dope.
That's cool.
And we go to this training facility, and everyone thinks, I think, that with dirt bike racing, you just you get on a bike, you sit on the seat, you give it gas and go, and that's it. No.
More technical than that.
Way more. Plus, as far as being in shape to race a 30 minute plus 2-lap moto with the best 42 riders in the world in your class, you got to be in crazy cardiovascular shape and then just strength training. So, what my week would look like, it wasn't me out just like having fun riding a dirt bike, right? It was a job, a full-time job at 12, 13, all the way through.
What other training would you do other than ride?
So, it was a lot of cross training with bicycling. So I've got some gnarly crashes of cycling with 30 different dudes, but a lot of cycling. We would do, like Monday through Thursday. We would have a light day where we would do like 15 miles, heart rate monitors on, averaging between 140 to 160. We'd have longer days where we're doing 35 miles, biking. I'm this little kid.
Still a kid at that point.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was a boot camp, dude. It was boot camp.
Did that start affecting your love for the sport, or you loved it?
It did.
When it started being more of a job?
Later on in my career, it definitely had an effect. It was, and it happens to everybody in the industry for sure. Mm-hmm. It's bound to happen, but at that age, dude, no. Why?
You loved it.
Why? Because I'm hanging out with my idols. I'm cycling with Travis Pastrana. I'm cycling with, Ricky Carmichael. I'm going to the gym with the greatest of all times, guys that I've been playing as a character, on Nintendo 64 and PS1, dude. Like, this is insane. And so for me, no, man, I was stoked to get up at 4 a.m. and go on a bicycle ride before the sun's even come up.
That was cool.
And then you get back after that cycle ride, you eat something real quick, and then you go to the gym. Right? And you're in the gym doing, lightweight, high rep, workouts. And that was every single day. We'd have a cool off day. But after you did your cycling, after you did your, strength training, then you get out on the track and you're practicing with dudes that, even though you're living at the same facility with them, think of an RV park. That's what it was, mm-hmm. with a big shop and stuff. It was dope. Big pond and a rope swing, and we did crazy stuff, man. But we get out there and we would ride every day. And the thing is with motocross, supercross, you have teams, you might be under the same tent, truck, banner, whatever, as two other dudes. But that does not mean you are tight with the other dudes that you're racing against. Mm. So for example, Justin Barsha, me and him are super tight. Love you, JB. Thanks for naming your son Sonny. Appreciate it. But me and him would get into it all the time. They claim he's the dirtiest rider of all time. I don't think so. Rubbin's racing, but me and him would get into it all the time as teammates, at different times. And when I say into it, I mean clean each other the F off the track to the point where, it might break a bone.
Yeah.
So that, that's how we rode every day in, day out. There were these little beefs that would happen. But at the end of the day, we'd try to squash it. All right, let's go hit that rope swing, We're all done for the day. Let's build a big BMX ramp that goes into the pond and try to huck a couple backflips,
That's sick. Like Nitro Circus stuff, right?
Exactly. In fact, Nitro Circus was born out of where we were at that time. I got to, spend a few months with Travis. And his first movie that he made is not in it, but I was there. I was part of it. I don't know if I should say it out loud, but whatever. We went out to this abandoned alligator farm that's behind the training facility out in the deep woods. Bunch of man-made ponds. And I mean, you could see gators that were 12, 13, 14 foot long, massive gators, dude. And it's, we get out there and they're just all over the place. And we rode out on them. It's funny because Travis hopped on my bike and I hopped on the back with him. And Davey and this other dude, Brian Murphy, Davey Millsaps, Brian Murphy, all dudes that if you're in motocross, you know their names. We went ripping through the woods. All right, we're going to go, do this stupid thing. Okay, cool. We get out there, and we had this great idea to film and try to swim. Let's go swim across this alligator-infested pond.
Swim across?
Yeah, see who can get across. Where, you could see hundreds of them, dude. It's hundreds. You see them sunbathing out, and these things are 3 times the size of me, right? Like I'm 14 maybe at the time. Davey Millsap, 16, 17 at the time. Travis is like 18, 19 at the time. And the idea of Nitro Circus wasn't born yet, but he was starting to film stuff, right? Because he was always doing just next level crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And I got to be part of it and witness it and see a lot of it and do a lot of it too. Be a test dummy for a lot of it.
Sonny, send it.
That was me. And yeah, so, we jumped out and swam across. We made it, thank God. Came back, swam back across, okay? And one of the dudes, Brian, brought a gun with him and did something he shouldn't have done, shot a gator, which at the time was a big, big, big no-no.
Oh, yeah. You got to have a permit and all that.
Yep. He swam out there like Crocodile Dundee with a hat. It was kind of funny at the time, but it got us all in big trouble. Big, big trouble. I thought, shoot, I'm getting kicked out of the premier training facility in the world that people would kill to be here for, right? I messed up. But they didn't. Thank God. They just kind of slapped us on the wrist and you never show this on camera, right? Type of thing. Okay. And yeah, so that was one of my first experiences with TP. I've had many. So what's crazy about Travis Pastrana, just so you know, is he is the most goofy, uncoordinated dude in the world. Can't throw a football for nothing. Can't catch a football, can't kick a ball, nothing like that. But you put him on anything or in anything with an engine and wheels, he's going to be one of the best in the world in a couple minutes. Just how he is. And I think that's how a lot of us pro moto dudes are. I don't know what it is. We're just, when you're racing dirt bikes at the speed that we are, hitting the jumps that we are, at the distance that we are, bikes just skipping side to side, and you're, getting cleaned out, and there's these rivalries. And that one dude in front of you, if you pass him, that's another 50K bonus or something like that. Yeah, dude, you're full send. Full send, dude. You can't have fear.
Yeah.
You can't have fear. You might have it, right? Like, you might be nervous before you go out, but the second you put that helmet on, the second you get on the gate, it has to disappear.
Or otherwise you lose.
You're gonna,
you get lapped.
You're gonna get smoked. And for me, I never felt nervous. The only time I ever felt nervous was the night before. That was it. The night before, and it wasn't that I was gonna crash or anything. What I was nervous about was I might lose to this guy, this one one guy that showed up here that I've heard about that's fast from.
Just the pregame butterflies.
Yeah.
Walk me through your first or worst injury. You said you had 22 broken bones.
Yeah. It's actually hard to even remember all of the 22, but my first.
Let's go through the worst. What's the worst injury you've had?
Yeah, so I would say the worst is going to be my femur. I've broken this sucker twice, big bone to break, and I was actually 12 when I broke that.
Really?
Not long after that state championship. And how I broke it too was they wanted me to go to this race to qualify for the national championship. When I got picked up, now they're telling us, hey, you're going to this race, this race, this race, and this race, right? So, okay, they're paying for it. This is our life now. Bet we're gonna do it. So we go to this race to go through the qualifying to get there, and I'm going to go hit this jump. It was in practice too, and this kid. What kind of etiquette when it comes to riding dirt bikes is if you're going up the face of a jump, you stay on the side that you're on if you're not hitting it. If you're rolling it, yeah, well, he didn't. He goes and he cuts across last second. I hit him, sends me over into a gnarly endo, and endo means you're doing like half of a front flip, and you can't really come back from that. Nothing you could do. So, and the landing of this jump, too, was a big, long downhill, like football length downhill. So when I landed in such a way that my handlebar and my foot was out, just snapped it backwards. And I heard it crack, right? I heard it snap, I heard it crack, and I didn't feel anything. But as I'm rolling down this hill, tumbling, I could feel it like flopping in such a way, right, that I knew at that point, yep, I broke my leg. My leg's broken.
You're 12?
12. Yeah, 12 years old. And when I got to the bottom of that hill and I'm sitting there, I still don't feel anything, but I knew it was broken, so I didn't want to move. And panic hadn't set in yet, nothing like that. In fact, I was just mad. I needed to qualify for this race.
Yeah.
And then the flagger came running over. And I could see the look in his eyes. Like, oh, my God, right? And I'm like, how bad is it? How bad is it? Just don't move, buddy. Don't move, buddy. You're okay. Don't move. I'm like, okay, all right. And then they red flagged the race, which means they stopped the race. It doesn't happen often unless it's very serious. And my dad, my brothers, and then my mom, who's lagging behind but getting out there, they all come running out. And I see my dad's face first, and he goes like, he's paisley white, but he's trying to put on a strong face for me. And I say to my dad, how bad is it? How bad is it? And at this point now, I'm starting to realize it. Okay, this is not good. And my brothers, I see their faces. Then my mom gets there.
Mama Bear.
Mama Bear gets there. Mom goes pasty white and pretty much faints and passes out, right? Hits the dirt. Yeah, true story. And at that point, I couldn't take it anymore. So I'm like, I got to look. I got to see. I turned my head this way, and this part of my leg right in the middle was bent over backwards, and my toe was right here. And they had to, when you break your femur, it's very serious because you have your main femoral artery. If they nick that,
yeah, you bleed out.
Dead in like a minute, 2 minutes less. Game over, dude. So super serious. It kept me very still until I got a helicopter flew in. So I got heli-flighted out. But before they heli-flighted me out of there, they had to do something called putting me in traction. And this is the worst pain that you can imagine, okay? There is one thing that's worse, painful. I'll tell you that later. But what traction is they take your leg, they straighten it back out in a very, very slow type of manner. And then what they do is usually they have this sort of contraption that you think of it as like a medieval contraption or something, dude. They put it around your ankle and up here, and then they crank on it, and what it does is it separates your bone from bone and stretches your leg as much as possible, so that way the bone can't nick your artery. And that was when the pain kicked in such a way that, yeah, I mean, I'm screaming. I didn't pass out. I'm screaming, but I didn't pass out. Second broken bone, okay. I got life flighted out, surgery. They put 2 14-inch rods in.
Dang.
It was like an almost 8-month recovery process to go through all of that.
Wow.
Second broken bone was 2 months on the bike, okay. And by the way, my mom, after I broke my first bone, she made my dad sell all the bikes. This is it. We're done.
We're done. Mom's out.
Game over, dude.
Mom says no more.
Game over. Can't blame her. You know, it could have been. I could have died.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Paralyzed. Yeah, a lot of things could happen.
Anything could happen, man. You know, so, I can't blame her for that. You know, think about your son or daughter or whatever, and you see that, and you know, like you could have the ability. You have the ability to never see that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame her. But anyway, we put, full court press, and we're back on the bike
Gave Mom a chance to kind of, recover from the.
as best we could. Yeah.
After a year, she kind of started to forget a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, we'll let him back on.
And 2 months after riding, I am prepping for another big race. I go and I break that femur in the same exact spot again.
Even with the rods in?
No, they take the rods out. I'm
after
at
your
age,
bones fuse back together.
Yep. I'm at that age, they typically won't keep metal in you. They'll take it out.
Because you're still growing.
Because you're still, exactly.
Gotcha.
So I go and I break it again. Dang. Dude, it was gnarly. And then outside of that, I've broken my tib and fib like 3 times. And one crazy time was I broke it and I drove myself to the hospital with a broken tib and fib. I've broken my arms numerous times. One weird one is breaking your upper arm. That's funky. It's a funky feeling. Yeah.
Dude, it blows my mind that you just get back on the bike, bro, after breaking legs and
yeah.
arms. And you're just like, hey, I'm healed. Let's go again.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And I don't,
Is it the addiction to the thrill of the ride or the winning or the culture? Like,
for me, it was more so about wanting to be the best, man. Like, it wasn't about, any fame or notoriety. Sure, that was cool when that came in at first. That's another topic, but no, it wasn't about that. It was 100% about knowing that I was outworking everybody, man. And that when I showed up to the race, I wanted everybody to look and say, oh, damn, that's Sonny Drake, right? Well, I ain't winning now, right? Or if they were in front of me for whatever reason and they looked back and they seen the number 167 plate, I better just let him by, because if not, he's gonna pump me off the track. It's like blood sport, dude.
Yeah.
And it was this love for wanting to be the best, the best at something, perfecting and mastering this craft of man and machine. And it takes many years and many hours and blood, sweat, and tears to get to that point, right? And you only have a very short window in this sort of, sport to make a name for yourself and to make a lot of money and be able to retire. And 99.99% of them will, first off, never even make it, right? Like, let alone get to a amateur national championship, or become pro. So, I got to accomplish a lot. But for me, it was wanting to be. I kind of had this chip on my shoulder, and the reason that I did was it took. I got picked up by Monster Cowie at a young age, but it was more of like what you would call a satellite ride. It wasn't full factory. And that pissed me off so bad because I'd go out at the, big national championship races or state championship races or whatever, and I would smoke the kids that were coming from out west where all of the big sponsors are from, and they have the factory rides, right? And I had this chip on my shoulder because I'm smoking them, but why? It's just because I'm on the East Coast, So
You weren't getting as much love.
no, yeah. If you're out on the West Coast and you're a top three guy, you're gonna get a factory ride. If you are out on the East Coast, where I was from, you had to work twice as hard to get that recognition. So. That was part of it, but outside of that, I just wanted to be the best, man, and I wanted to be like the people that I was around. I said this earlier, and I think we've all heard this. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, right? For me, if I was the fastest person on the track, I'm on the wrong track. So I wanted to be on tracks where I was riding with the goats,
Yeah.
right?
It's the only way to get to the next level.
That's it. So, I got to go out and I got to ride and race against the goats. I've ridden with Travis Pastrana, Davey Millsaps, Ricky Carmichael, the greatest of the greatest of the greats. Now, did I go out and beat those guys? No, because those guys were on another level, and I was still an amateur just coming up into my pro career.
Quite a few years younger than they are, too.
Yep. Yeah, and there's so much maturity that goes into racing a dirt bike that you don't realize. Motocross was life for me, right? I didn't have a normal childhood, and a lot of people would think, man, you're lucky. And I will say that. I was lucky. I got to do so much, accomplish a lot, live out this dream that I wanted to live. You asked me earlier, though, would I ever think back and, would I have done things differently or whatever? Sometimes I do think that way. What would I have done? What would life be like if I had stayed in school? Went to college, right? Well, I ain't tall enough to make it to the NBA. I ain't big enough to play NFL. I ain't, nothing like that. So I don't know what I would have done, but I know from experience that in my hometown there ain't nothing there. Small town. I love you, by the way, people there. I don't think I'm hating on you, but everyone aspires to work at the plant, right, and make $60,000 a year, and again, nothing wrong with it, but because I got this level of fame and notoriety and income that was coming in and stuff like that, after my career came to an end, and I knew it was game over because of all of these concussions and brain injuries that kept happening, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was a very, very hard pill to swallow because for me, this was my midlife crisis at 21.
It's an identity crisis because
so bad, dude.
If you're in athletics or sports or anything like that, when we're little kids, we kind of have that dream of, I'm going to be in the NBA, I'm going to be in the NFL, I'm going to reach the highest level, I'm going to be X Games, whatever. And then eventually you get to the point where the reality kind of sinks in, and you
It
realize
hits you.
that that's not going to be your path, and then you're like, what's next?
And the hardest part is like I had made it, like I had made it, and I turned pro, and I had everything going for me, and I just kept getting injured. And what was wild about this, I want to set the record straight here. I didn't suck, right? Like I wasn't breaking my bones all the time because I sucked. I was breaking my bones all the time because of I rode my bike so hard. There was one year I blew up. Sorry, Cowie, but one year I literally straight up blew up, engine seized, 13 Kawasaki 250s and 450s in one year. That's insane, right? Most people that ride a dirt bike, they will have that bike for like 10 years. I blew up 12 or 13 in one year.
Wow, you're riding them hard.
They're not meant to be ridden the way that they are, that level.
Mm-hmm.
So you run the risk of serious injury if your bike seizes up, and for some reason that was my luck. My bike would blow up, grenade, engine seizes up, and then the tire locks up on the face of a huge jump. Next thing you know, you're off in the air, and either you stay on the bike and let the bike just accordion style just smash you into the ground and likely die, or you bail off the bike and free float and have enough time in your head to know this is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
So after my career ended, which was kind of not really a choice, but we don't need to get into all that. After my career ended, it was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow, right? I had not been smart with my money. I had not been, smart with just doing the right things, right? Like I was driven and dedicated in the sport. That is for sure. I could have done more too, I think, but I was definitely one of the most driven and hardest working people out there. But there's always someone that's out there or coming before you,
Yeah.
and the next generation that's working harder, right? Always.
So you feel like you got plagued with injuries, and it kind of slowed you down, and decided it's time to hang up the boots.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
And because we were talking a little bit before this about, because of all the injuries,
Yep.
sometimes there's a darker side to the sport that maybe
Big time.
doesn't get talked about a lot.
Yeah, big time. This is something that for me, it hits home really hard for me because I've lost a lot of friends to it. And I'm going to plug my channel. I'm starting a channel here as well, where I'm going to be talking with other athletes in the moto world, Supercross, and hopefully, it could gain more notoriety where, I'm talking with people in other extreme sports and even in NFL and et cetera. But it's a taboo subject that no one wants to talk about. And that is, we're out here, risking literally our body, life, and limb, right? And when you do, risk your body, life, and limb, eventually you're going to get bit. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how bad. And some people have it worse than others, man. Justin Weeks, one of my best friends, and he could have been one of the best ever. Paralyzed they said he was going to be paralyzed from the neck down, paralyzed from the waist down. They said he'd never walk again. He's walking, but, needs a lot of help, mainly in a wheelchair. Doug Henry, for example, one of the greatest of all time. He came before my time. First dude to ever ride a four-stroke. and he's paralyzed from the waist down. Homeboy's still riding dirt bikes, inspiring stuff, you know. But then you have your people that don't, they don't make it. They die, and I've got to see that, many times. Beyond that, though, the real killer in the sport, and I think in other sports too, especially when the career ends, because when you're in it, you have something to you have a why to get off the pain medication. 12 years old, Oxycontin 30 milligrams. What? And as time goes on and you've had all of these surgeries and broken bones, next thing you know, it's not 30s, it's, 60s and 80s. And then, okay, now we're going to do 3 of them a day. And we're going to do fentanyl patches. This is insane stuff. This is like legal heroin. And then you start to realize as you get older why you feel like crap when you run out of pain medication, right? It hits you. Oh, I'm going through something called withdrawals. And there's a lot of kids that will, at that point, figure out a way to go out and find it and do it, right? It's easy to find, especially at a dirt bike track or depending on your neighborhood where you grew up.
Right. It's interesting how common it is, but how it's not talked about enough. But it is super common. It just in injuries in general. It's a lot of people start getting hooked on pain meds, right? It's surgeries, injuries. Anytime you got to.
Yeah. All the time, man. My left knee, I've blown it out like 3 times. I could pop it out of its socket right now like a party trick and pop it right back in. My right knee twice. I got to do a full knee replacement on it. I got the battle wounds and scars to prove it.
Was it hard for you? Did you have problems with the pain medication, with all the surgeries?
Oh my God, yeah. Not when I was like young, but as time went on, 17, 18, 19, 20, definitely. 18 to 20, now I'm pretty much by myself. My family's in New York. My dad's got his job, and everyone's doing their thing. I'm at this training facility with a bunch of other dudes my age, a couple other people that are older, that are that are pro already, and some of these guys are really good influences, and some of these guys are bad influences. And you got to pick your crowd, right, to hang out with. And for me, I think the first time that I ever did anything with, I guess because I wanted to just do it, right, for fun, to
That's
feel
what everybody
it.
else was doing.
Yeah, was I had an injury, ran out of my medication, and a couple weeks later, I'm off my medication. I wasn't feeling withdrawals at that point. I went through them, and another buddy of mine had just broken, I think it was tib and fib or something, right? Pretty gnarly surgery that he had him. So I went over to his motorhome. We had our little cliques there, and it took some. That was the first time that I'd ever taken something not for the reason that I was supposed to. And it can easily, at that point, that's when it can spiral out of control so fast. And this happens to people, not just in moto, but it happens in the NFL. It happens in skate. It happens in BMX. It happens everywhere. And it doesn't have to be just that. It happens at your hometown, man. It happens in your hometown, left and right.
What would you tell a kid that's at that position right now where he's in that world?
Man, I'd tell you, unless you want to end up dead or in prison, don't do it. It's the worst possible thing that you can do. I regret it every day of my life. And it's something that for me, I have the courage to speak out on it now. I know I'm an addict, right? And I'll admit that. I'll always be an addict. Um, I don't do that anymore. It's been many years. Um, but there's days that go by where I think about it, where I have a really hard day and I think, man, it'd be just so easy to numb it, man. And trust me, from one addict to others, you could be walking around and you know, you could put me in the Sahara Desert and I'd be able to find a drug addict. And that's a bad thing, that's the worst part about it. So to a younger kid growing up, right, like if you're in a sport, where you're going to face injuries, understand that there's going to be a day that comes where you're going to have to take probably pain meds for that injury, right? And you need to make sure that you regulate that. You do not overtake. In fact, I would tell you to undertake, because doctors, especially back then, there's a bit more, it's a bit more restricted now, but it's still bad. Undertake it, and get off of it as soon as possible. Go through it. Push through the suck, right? Push through the suck. You're going to have to sweat it out for 2-3 days, maybe 4. You push through it. Because what happens if you don't is, next thing you know, you become a person that you won't recognize. And that's the hardest part. For me, the reason that I'm able to sit here and talk about it nowadays is I lost my best friend to it a few years ago now. Got him tattooed on my chest, big old tattoo. His name is Trevor Doney, 555. Love you, bro. Me and him grew up at that training facility together, 12 years old. Both 12 years old, and we did everything together, everything. We were the troublemakers, man. But at the same time, yin to yang. He was the one that would get into the wild stuff, and I was the one that would be like, no, no, let's not. We shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But eventually, after a while, it was like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll have a beer. We all of these hot chicks that want to hang out with us because we're the young up and coming stars, right? Mm-hmm. Or we go out to this club in Tallahassee. I can say I got to live the college experience. FSU, baby, let's go. Flipping Tuesdays. We'd start to go out to these bars and clubs and people knew who we were. That was crazy, dude. That was weird. Going to like a Walmart or something. Are you Sonny Drake? That was weird, man. Doesn't happen nowadays as often. Back then I had long hair. People, I'm bald now. Thanks, Pop. But happens still every once in a while. There's been times where you've seen it where I've been door knocking and someone's like, are you Sonny Drake? Yep. Hey, listen, I'm going to set you up an alarm today. It's going to happen. I'll hang out with you for a couple hours. But, with what goes on in this sport, and not just this sport, it's happening everywhere, man. There's an epidemic of it. It's not being talked about. It's being pushed under the rug.
It happens in the dark, happens behind closed doors.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, it goes a lot deeper than even just like, sports and et cetera. I think that it's incentivized by our own government to a certain degree. They allow it to happen when you really look at it from a, grander scale. But yeah, a couple, 2.5, 3 years ago, my best buddy, Trevor Doney, was telling you about, 555. Great racer, great guy. He just couldn't get away from it, right? He's from Flint, Michigan, and a part of me still feels, and I'll always feel this way, like I could have done more, and he might still be here, and that's a hard thing for me to live with. But the reason I say that is we all knew that he was still doing it. And the thing is this is when you're in it, you can't want it for your girlfriend or boyfriend or family or whatever. You have to want to get clean for you. It's got to be for you first. And then after that, you can, it could be for others as well. But if it's not for you, you're never going to get clean. Maybe for a month or two. Maybe you might make it a year. But yeah. Now, have I messed up and relapsed before? Yes, I have. It's not something that I'm proud to admit, but I think that people need to know that, because all it takes is one time, man. Just one time. And it doesn't matter if it's opiates either. I'm not saying that marijuana is a gateway drug, like they used to tell us back in the DARE days. That being said, at the end of the day, you get into this sort of thing, it is extremely difficult to get out of, extremely hard to get out of. When you actually look at data and statistics, especially when it comes to opiate, abusers, 9 out of 10 people will never come back from it. They're going to end up dead or in prison. And I knew that that's where my life was starting to head. For me, when everything kind of came crashing down, as I said, I had this midlife crisis, if you will, at such a young age. Identity crisis. Who am I? Who am I without a bike? Who am I? Who is Sonny Drake without a dirt bike?
The civilian.
Just a civilian, dog, working a 9 to 5.
The superstar, the superstardom kind of fades out, and you're past your prime, and got to refigure out who you are.
It was a lot harder for me than what I ever imagined it could be or would be. And when it really started to hit me was when all of these people that I thought were my friends, fans, girlfriends, right? Just overnight, gone, man. Scattered like roaches, dude. Scattered like roaches.
As soon as the fame train was over.
Gone, dude. Gone. And these people had been around me for years, years. And I thought, they'd be in my life forever. And when that happened, I could truly count beyond my family, other than my family, right? I can count on one hand the people that have stuck by my side from the start to now. On one hand. Mitch Merrill, love you, bro. It's yeah, man, it was difficult, and I went from, this young phenom that's gonna, be a superstar and was a superstar to no, didn't make it, pissed it away, washed up, drug addict, it's on him. In a way, maybe they were kind of right. That's what I started to really believe in my own head. But the truth is that this is an addiction, and it goes beyond that. It's a disease. When you start taking something like this, an opiate like this, at 12 years old, and you're taking it for 4 or 5 months out of the year, every single year.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, it's something that has a major, major effect on you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. You know, I grew up in the church, right? Very, very Christian home. And I lost all faith. I lost all sense of feeling. I lost all emotion, care, desire, want, motivation. Just gone, man, gone. And when the people around me left too, the all the girls that I probably had no business being with, it's around to be thinking they can become a model by being in proximity, or whatever the case might be. When all of that went away, what actually hurt worse more than the girls were my homies that I thought were gonna be my boys for life. Dipped. They got enough Red Bulls and Monster Energy shirts and etc. And all right, he's worthless now. So when that goes away, and then suddenly you're nothing, and all these people are hitting you up on social media, right? MySpace back in the day, Facebook, yeah.
MySpace.
A lot
DMs.
of y'all might be too young to remember that, or AIM, Instant Messenger. Shoot,
Brum.
oh man, much easier times. But when you got all these people hitting you up, from all over the place, man, and out of nowhere, calling you out your name. I won't even repeat some of the things that were said, just disgusting, terrible things, right? And at the same time, you're going through the lowest point of your life. I mean, I could see why there's so many people out there that are in these situations that end it. The only reason for me that I didn't go down that path is because of the faith that the faith in God, and that and it wasn't so much that I was, I'm scared to go to hell. It was, I couldn't do this to my family that have rode it out and have been by my side, dude, from day one, and that was, putting them through that for years when moto ended, because this wasn't like something that after dirt bike racing ended that it was like, oh, a few month type of thing. Man, this is something that went on for many years.
Now, what was this, like late teens, early 20s, or when was?
This was after 21. So
Okay.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25
Okay.
in there.
And so you
Yeah.
feel like you hit rock bottom. You lost fame. Fame was gone. Identity crisis.
Yep.
Opiate addiction from all the surgeries and injuries. I mean,
Yep.
how did you deal with it? How bad did it get?
How bad did it get, man? It got as bad as it could get, to be honest with you. It got so bad that time started to change, right? Like I used to be able to go into a doctor back in the day and, here, check out my knee. Okay, here's a script for Oxy 80s.
You pop it out on purpose.
Yeah, easy. Doesn't even hurt. And they give it to me. But eventually, they catch on. All right, doctor shop, next place. That's what we would do. When I say we, I mean a lot of people that are in this situation, they doctor shop. They still do it. It's gotten much harder nowadays to do, but it's still pretty dang easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm proud to admit. But I admit this freely to the world, in the hopes that it could save somebody, somebody that's going through a hard time, struggle with whatever in life, whether it's a loss or addiction or depression or whatever, there's it could it could be much worse, right? But I went as far as doing H, dope. I was in homes that I had no business being in. Around people I had no business being around. I've had situations happen to me that you probably wouldn't believe if I told you. I've had people rob me, guns pointed to the back of my head, where um, I turned around at the dude who got in the back of my car and I pressed the gun. I put my forehead into the gun and I said, "I bet there ain't no bullets in there." He goes, "You wanna find out?" And I said, I don't care." And yeah, um, he said that I was a crazy something boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Listen, you ain't getting my phone. You ain't getting my credit cards. You ain't getting nothing. Here's the cash and get the heck out of my car."
No,
That's how crazy I
no fear of
was.
death.
I almost wanted it, right? Like I almost wanted it, but I didn't want it by my hands.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
And if I were to die, it has to be by somebody else's hands. That's how dark it got, man. Going from this, being on the cover of magazines and winning gold medals, and you know, from that to now this, in a place where I'm in the straight up ghetto, uh, and I'm looking for people because maybe my guy ran out, right? And I'm going on 2 days without being on it. 2 days without being on it, you're pretty much incapacitated, dude.
Wow.
You want to talk about one of the worst feelings in the world? I'd rather snap my femur with a sledgehammer than go through that again. 100%
Withdrawals.
withdrawals from H. Yeah, 100%. That's why people can't get off of it. It is something that once you start, it's
What finally got you through? Did you go to rehab, or how did you finally get
yeah,
off everything?
yeah. So it's gonna be a crazy story, but it's true. This is how God intervenes in one's life, and whether you believe in God or not, or coincidence, maybe it could have been coincidence, but for me, it was God. Um, I was going on day 2 of not having anything, sweating, and my normal connect said that he wasn't going to have anything for 3 or 4 more days. There's no way I'm going to make it. So I hopped in my car, nice car at the time. I'm dressed up, look clean cut as best as I can, because I was going to be meeting my family out later that day. And I went into the hood, and I'm just rolling down my window, yelling out to dudes on the side, on the corner.
Just asking for it.
"Yo, you guys got any H?" You know. One dude said yes, and I'm like, "All right, bet." He goes, "I'm gonna hop in the car with you." This is the guy that put the gun in my head, right? This is how crazy I was. Check this out. After he gets in the back seat of my car, and I should have known in that moment. Anyone that gets in the back seat of your car, they're up to something in that situation. I learned my lesson that day. But I was smart enough to have other cash hidden underneath my front mat. So the cash that I did have is what he got, but I had more underneath my mat. After he got out, I continued cruising the streets looking for it. That's how nuts I was, dude. You don't care.
It didn't even deter you from...
No. You're going to find it because you feel like you are going to die without it. So you might as well. The hunt's still on, dude. So I carried on, and found another guy a couple streets over. He said yes. He said, chill right here for a second, and I'm gonna call my homeboy. Okay, cool. He goes, all right. He's gonna be over here at these apartments, right? Okay, cool. Drive over to this apartment. Pull in. They come out, and it wasn't H. It was a bunch of pain pills. Which, whatever, it's better than nothing. Okay. Except I got to chew up so many of these things to feel anything that I probably might come close to getting my stomach pumped.
Jeez.
That's how high my tolerance was, dude. And I get it. Give this dude the money. I back out, and I didn't make it about 30 seconds before I hear, whoo, whoop, cop. And at that exact moment, I had the bag open, and I'm literally trying to swallow these things down, right? Before the cop even, turned the siren on. And it scared me. I jumped. Pills everywhere. And in that moment, I knew this is game over. Game over, dude. It's an end for me. Yeah, I knew it was coming. I'm going to go to jail. I'll be front page news tomorrow. Everyone's going to know, and they were all right. Cop comes up. One cop comes up on this side, another cop on the other side. And tells me to roll the window down. I roll the window all the way down. And he at first didn't see it. And he said, what are you doing on this side of town? And I said, well, officer, probably exactly what it looks like. 'Cause I knew that he's going to stand there, ask for my license, registration, and he's going to look just a second harder, and it's game over, dude. That's it.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, well, give me your license and registration. Do you have any weapons? The normal stuff. And then he looks down, and he finally sees it, right? And he goes, all right, step out of the vehicle. Okay, I step out of the vehicle, and they cuff me. They bring me over, sit me on the curb, okay? He's asking me some questions, and honestly, at that point, I was so numb that I didn't care.
You're like, whatever.
Whatever, man. Whatever. My time. And the other dude that was on the other side sitting there with me, right? Making sure I don't take off or try to run or whatever. I wasn't going to try to run. My knees are too shot. I ain't getting far, dude. I ain't getting far. And I'll have a good story when it comes to sales for that for you. But police officer that goes and is, he's running my information. He comes back, right? He comes back and he says to me, stand up. I stand up. And this might be where you would say privilege, for sure. Had some privilege going on that day. White privilege, I don't know. Celeb privilege, definitely, for sure. Or both. Not to get political. But he walks me over to the driver's side, and he tells me to pick up all these pills, right? And I'm like, what the heck is happening right now, And tells me to pick up all the pills. I pick them up. And he says, put them in this bag. Okay. And I stopped for a second, and I said, officer, what's happening here? He goes, what I want you to do is pull out your phone right now, and I want you to call your mom and dad or someone in your family, and I want them to come here to pick you up. I said, okay. I said, are you letting me go? And he said, you're Sonny Drake, right? The dirt bike racer. And I said, yeah, yes, sir. And he goes, you look familiar, but you lost your hair. And I said, yeah, I sure did. Yep, I know. Everyone likes to make that remark. And he goes, listen, man. His exact words. Um, me and my son have watched you grow up, watching you your whole career. You gave my son one of your jerseys. He's got a poster of you on his wall. He's got goggles of yours. You've taken pictures with him. You are his hero. And I could see how and could understand why you are here and got to this point. But I'm going to give you, this is your one, he says, this is your one time get out of jail free card. I got enough on you right now that you would be facing serious jail time. And he said, he told me that the day that I gave him that jersey was at this one local race, and I had come from the back of the pack, and I was almost in dead last, and I came through and passed everybody and still won, but I was pissed off about something, but with my fans, I was always, even if I was mad, dude, something happened in the race, with my fans, I would,
Yeah.
goose fraba, okay, I'm gonna be chill, man. Here you go. And that's what I did. I'd done it so much that I don't remember, but
So somebody come pick you up?
yeah, yep. Someone came and picked me up. I went home that night. My whole family knew it, but I had gotten so slick. And I'm not going to say this out loud to give other people the idea of how to get away and get around stuff. I'll tell you off air. But I had gotten so slick at being able to keep it from my family because, they'd drug test me. They knew it's your father. My father knows me. If you're a good father, you know your son, and he knows me. So, but he could just never get the proof on me, right? I'm driving, I'm riding home, and it hit me in that moment. Something hit me in that moment that I should have been going to jail. I shouldn't be going this way. I should be in a cop car right now going that way. I should be freaking out thinking about the next 5, 10 years of my life. It's gone. Like, that's where I should be going this moment. And I'm not. If it had been any other police officer, that would have been it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
My life would have been over.
That's crazy.
It would have been done for, man, And if that had happened, what kind of opportunity would I have after that, What kind of life would I have lived after that? So God intervened in my life in such a way that he put someone in my path when I needed it the most. The night I had a gun put to my head, and when I should have went to jail, you know. But I went home that night, man, and my family's super close knit, right? And everybody just so happens to be at mom and dad's house. Big bro, both my big brothers, my sister, their wives, and my sister's husband, and nieces and nephews, and everyone's there. And a friend came and picked me up, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I walk inside and I tell my family. I walk inside and they're all in the living room chilling. All my nieces and nephews at this point are so young they don't know what's going on. But I look at all of them and I said, family, mom, dad, I got something I want to tell you guys. It's something that you guys already know. But I'm an addict and I need to be put away. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't trust myself, and I need to be put away. And if I wake up tomorrow and I tell you something different, I'm lying to you. I've been lying to you. I've become a master of lying to you. And like when you're on that stuff, that kind of stuff, like you you lose all sense of care, even to the people that you love most, man.
Yeah.
And
You'll steal from them, lie to
yeah,
them.
you'll do anything. You know, I for me, I remember the only thing I did steal from my family was anytime I could, the quarters out of their cars. The quarters out of their cars, dude. Pro dirt bike racer, made a bunch of money. Now I'm stealing quarters out of cars so I could get this drug while I'm in trap houses with people, needles laying all around, people on the ground looking like they might be dead. I'm not sure. People just stepping over each other. Like, it was dark, dude. Dark. And to be very blunt with you, that's why I moved to Texas, was because, growing up in New York, it wasn't a bad place. In fact, it's a beautiful place. But for me there, the only,
Your circle was a dark circle.
my circle was a dark circle, and the memories that I have there, and maybe this is because of all the brain injuries and stuff, and that's that's the thing that scares me most nowadays is what am I going to be like in 20 years from now, 30 years. But I don't really have memories of my childhood, right? Very few. But the memories I do have are nothing but darkness. So I don't like going back there other than just to see my family and get out. And, it's hard to say that out loud, to admit that to anybody. It's something that, the world looks at that, right? And they're going to judge me for it. People are going to judge me for this, right? Me putting myself out here like this and telling people on a podcast where I know prospective employers are listening, et cetera, they're going to think, oh, no, we don't want that guy. He's high risk. He was a drug addict. Whatever to those people. Don't want to be around you. But what I think is it takes strength and courage to be able to tell that story, this story, my story, and my best friend's story, who died a few years ago. Um, his name's Trevor Downey. Died in 2020, middle of COVID. Got him tattooed on my chest. And if you go through my Instagram or anything like that, which is at SunnyDrake167, spelled with a U, you can see pictures of him. He was my best friend. He spent many years with me at that training facility when I was 12 until 20. We grew up there together, did everything together. And in 2020, I get a phone call, right? And I'd been clean now quite some time, because after I told my family that I need to be put away,
Yeah.
the next day I went into inpatient for 30 days. And I got out. I met a girl. And then she was moving to Texas. It was a whirlwind. And I'm like, I'll come with you. That's how I ended up at Vivint. But we'll get more into that. But I get a call one day. And it's a frantic call from Trevor's sister, Taylor. And she tells me that Trevor had died, right? And I hadn't talked to him in a couple weeks. The last time I had talked to him, he's calling to hit me up for money. And I knew why. We all knew he was still doing it. It was open at this point. It's crazy because, he has a crazy upbringing. There wasn't really much for lack, let's just say that. When his career ended, he went hardcore to the point of, doing things that were highly illegal, and then continued to do it, and was in and out of jail, and
Spiraled big time.
big time, to the point where he was living on the streets of Detroit. Well, how he died was he overdosed on fentanyl, which is just so you guys know, okay, is in pretty much everything these days. These pills that are out on the streets that these dealers will say are Xanax or Oxycontin or whatever, especially heroin, dope. They are laced with fentanyl. And for most people, all you got to do is touch it. Just a little bit of residue. Google it sometime. YouTube it sometime. You could see videos of police officers that are jacked dudes in their prime. And barely touch it. Hit the ground. That's how quick it hits you. And that's what happened to him, except he wasn't found for 2 weeks. He was in a trailer somewhere in Flint, Michigan, in a trailer. And it was clear that other people were in that trailer as well, and they left him.
Jeez.
So he literally laid there, for a couple weeks, dead, rotting away, man. And I was asked to do his eulogy, and it hit me so hard, man. Because for me, this was like at a point where I'm starting to find my identity and a purpose and a self-worth again, right? and I felt guilty that he hasn't. And I so badly wanted to go to Michigan and grab him, slap him by the frickin' face and say, dude, if I can't, you can't. So I was angry with myself that I didn't do that. But I also feared going there to even try because of the influence that we have on each other. And that it might possibly go the other way.
True.
So I was asked to do his eulogy. I got COVID. I had written it out, something very thoughtful. All our memories, People knew us at the racetrack. Everybody knew us because we did everything together. And I couldn't even go to his funeral. Couldn't do his eulogy because of, the restrictions at the time. And I've yet to go to, to his headstone. I need to do that. But his mother and father sent me some of his ashes that I have been carrying around with me, and I've taken to places that are, to me, that are beautiful places that I know that he would have loved to have visited, or places that me and him have visited together as well. Upper Yosemite Falls, Angel's Landing, in Zion. My house in upstate New York, he never got to go there, which is crazy because I went to his house in Michigan. It's weird that he never got to go to my house, but he's there now. And
That's cool. His parents did that for you.
yeah, man. And they wrote a letter to me, and it's the hardest thing, man. The hardest thing in the world, bro. And I tell this story of what I went through to prevent others from going through what he went through and what his family goes through and what I go through at thinking about him daily. And it's so crazy because I every day somehow manage to see on the clock 555 every day, every single day. It's like him reminding me, dude, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, man, it's a tough. Life gets tough, right? We all go through roller coasters, ups, downs. I don't care if you are the 9 to 5 or 1099 crushing it. I don't care if you're famous. I don't care what your situation in life is. We all are going to go through our struggles, our hardships, loss, right? I think we as men, especially as men, we've been like conditioned now in society to, I don't know, be weak or something in a way. We need to have a tribe, we need to have a tribe of good people to be around. And without that, if we're just lone wolfing it in the world, that's when you get in trouble, man. That's when you get in trouble.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of guys, we feel like that sometimes. We're on an island
Yeah.
trying to provide for our families, trying to hit our goals, everything we're trying to do, and sometimes it can feel lonely, right? But even the tough dudes, like, we need a support group,
We need an outlet, man.
Guys that are on the same path, same mindset, and if you have that, be grateful for it, right? Don't take it for granted. If you've got a tribe of guys that are really there for you and and on the same path, and hold on to it and cherish those relationships.
You have to. It's so hard. It's so hard to find, and I know that firsthand experience because I thought I had tribes. I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to cherish it. You have to be around good people, and if you're around people that are not good people, you of course try to help, right? Like if you see somebody that's going through what I went through, what my best friend went through, but died, so young, you of course got to try to help,
Yeah.
but to an extent, you cannot enable,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of people go wrong with this situation.
They feel like they're helping, but they're not.
They're not, they end up enabling.
Right.
Hey, I just need $30 for gas because I got a job interview. Oh, that's awesome, man. Where? They get you'll get elaborate when you're
Yeah.
like this, right? Okay, and that $30 that you give that person, it could be the $30 that kills them.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you're conscious and aware of the people around you and what they're doing. When it comes to this, especially opiates and etc., drugs in general, you can pick up on it if you're actually looking for it.
Right.
And if you see it, you need to call it out and not judge them for it, because I'll tell you this much, okay? The hardest part in my entire life is that, I could be sober for the rest of my life, but my entire family, I love you to death, and you guys know that. Take a bullet for every one of you. But my entire life, they're always going to think in the back of their mind, when is it going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
When is he going to mess up, right? And that sucks for me. I'm not gonna lie, I've broken that much trust.
Mm-hmm.
I've burned a lot of bridges with my own family
Yeah.
and friends and so on and so forth. There's very few people in my life that they don't. They worry, right? But it doesn't. They do it in a way that doesn't almost come off as judgmental. And I'm not saying that my family comes off as judgmental. It's this thing where it's like, man, I've been clean for X amount of years now. Can you just not ask me that question?
Yeah. 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 You've gone through a lot to get to the point that you're at. You want to be you. You don't want to keep living through the past identity.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I worked so hard to create this new identity.
Yeah.
I'm not Sonny Drake, the dirt bike racer. I'm not. It's a part of who I was, and I regret nothing. Nothing. Even doing all of the drugs that I did, I don't regret it. It made me who I am today as a man, and it shaped me into the person that I am today as a man.
Right.
And everyone has their path they have to walk, and God is never going to give you just this straight, easy path, man. It's just not how this life works. God is going to throw obstacles at us. And instead of being mad and throwing our hands up and yelling, oh, poor me, and I'm mad with God because I didn't get this job, or, whatever the case might be. It's just part of the process. You got to understand that when with life, there is going to be a ton of shit sandwiches that are going to come at you no matter what. It's just how you condition yourself for the next one that's coming.
Right.
That's life, man.
It's refiner's fire.
It,
You got to go through it to be refined and come out polished on the other end.
exactly. You never know, You never know. There's always going to be something, Like I could create a super successful business, and the whole entire freaking building blows up.
Yeah.
So someone in my circle could get into a car accident. Like these things happen.
Yeah. You can't blame God for every bad thing that happens.
No, you can't, and you can't also allow it to affect you so much that you take it to drinking,
Yeah.
smoking,
Go
or
down
drugs.
this pit of despair, and
Can't.
you gotta get up and keep going.
And now I try to live my life for my buddy, for my best friend, Trevor Doney. I try to live my life for him, and because I know he's looking down, man. He reminds me every day. And having his ashes with me everywhere I go might sound a little weird to some people.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Might sound a little weird. Maybe I
cool,
should put it in a pendant or something, But
I mean, you guys were close. It's cool.
yeah, but there's so many places that I want to take him to, and I've been thinking, I took him to Maui as well, in Hawaii, but at the very end of this, I'm going to keep a little bit, put it in a pendant, and when my day comes that God calls me home, me and him will go down together, man.
Yeah.
He's my homie. He's my best friend, and he deserved better than that, but that's life, and these are the choices that we make. It's the choices that you make. It's up to you to choose the easier path or the hard path. And I promise you, the easy path is actually the harder path, man. It's way harder of a path. Choose the hard path, and the hard path is not doing that stuff, right? Is not going down this road of drugs just to numb yourself because you lost your job or you're not sure what your purpose in life is. Man, so many people don't know what their purpose in life is. So many people. It could be 10 times worse. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have running water? Do you have a toilet? Do you have food? Do you have a car? Do you have a hot shower? You could be in, Gaza right now. I'm not, not in support of this entire situation, but just imagine being in a situation where just bombs are dropping on you every single day.
Yeah. The mindset of gratitude, if you can wake up every morning and
Exactly.
think of 3 things you're grateful for, I mean, your day will go so much better. You'll get out of that pit of despair and you'll stop crying about your situation and this and that. And, that's awesome stuff.
What's crazy is it took me years to actually do exactly that. The wake up and actually write down on paper what I'm grateful for. Mm-hmm. My cousin Stephen Scott was the one that, that pushed me into that, and it wasn't until about a year and a half ago. Prior to that, it was just winging it, but I knew that I was gonna be okay.
Yeah.
If I had a hard day, I had a hard day, but
Right.
tomorrow's gonna be better. I pray, but tomorrow's gonna be better. But when I started doing this gratitude list, really, and like Trent said, sit down and actually write out on paper what you're grateful for, because it does have a major change on your life. It can have a major change on the way that you feel today and how you're going to feel tomorrow. And if there's anything that I can do by telling my story, going from a little kid that didn't have much to hanging out with rock stars, celebrities, meeting actual, celebrities, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, Shia LaBeouf, Travis Pastrana, a ton of these people living this crazy life, winning these amazing accolades, thinking that I was going to retire before 35, a multi-millionaire, dude. Multi-millionaire with houses all over, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. That's where my mindset was.
Yeah.
To go from that to losing it all, going through addiction, losing so many friends along the way. There's more than just Trevor. More than just Trevor. If I sat here talking about this, we'd be here for many, many hours, and it would be a very sad, sad, sad story. So, but the point of all of it is that you got to go through things in life, and you can't compare yourself to others either. That's one of the big things that you should never do, right? Like, the grass isn't always greener. And most people on social media, most people on Instagram, you see their posts, right? And you think, man, they look so happy. They got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are, full of it, dude.
Comparison is the biggest thief of joy.
It really is, man. It really is. And joy and gratitude is truly the biggest thing that we should have as human beings. Whether you believe in God or not, whatever your belief is with that, at the core of this, just be a good human being. Look out for others. Look for signs as well in others. And if you can help, say something, speak up, say something. And let them know that you're there for them, but you cannot enable. And if you know somebody that is going through something like this, show them this. Let them hear this. And if anybody is going through something like this, that you can reach out to me, and I will gladly tell you more, talk to you, and help you. And tell you, how I go through it, my daily processes of, not going back into that dark, dark place.
Awesome.
So, yeah, man.
It's awesome, dude. Sonny, thank you for being vulnerable with us and
man.
really kind of laying it out there. And, dude, it's been a pleasure. And next chapter, we're going to talk about the new Sonny Drake, the businessman, the entrepreneur, the leader, the mentor.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
Stay tuned for that episode. It's going to be coming out soon, and we'll wrap this one up, dude. But again, much love. Appreciate you, brother. You're one of the real ones, man. I appreciate you.
Love you too, dog.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Appreciate you. Peace out.
Peace. If you like the podcast and you want to see another one, click right here. If you want to see some of our other content, click right here.